Hi everybody, it's Lavinia. Welcome to my channel. Today is my daily art challenge day 12 and I'm using my watercolor sketchbook that I got at Hobby Lobby. I am also using my Master's Touch watercolor half pan set. You've seen me use those before. And I am going to use these Kimberly, the General's watercolor pencils to do the outline. And I thought today I would paint some tulips. It's springtime and I figured why not. So I think what I'm going to do is first start with, let's see, maybe I'll do some pink and yellow, maybe orange tulips. So I'm just going to draw some shapes here of perhaps the tulips. So maybe there's this pink one, maybe another smaller pink one here as well. Again, just outlining some shapes, and I'm using the watercolor pencils. This way it will dissolve when I add the water. You could use pencil if you want to, but sometimes if the watercolor is very transparent, you end up seeing that pencil mark. So I'm hoping that you can see the outlines here that I'm doing. Maybe just another tulip here in orange. Again, just some basic shapes. Maybe another one down here. And maybe a red one here. Another one up here. Just in that basic tulip shape. Now I'm going to get my green just to put in some of the stems. That one there. This one here. And then some of the leaves. Let's see, maybe one. Comes across that way. Okay. So what I'm going to start doing now here is I have my 12 round brush. I also have my smaller size brush. I have my bucket of water to rinse off my brushes. And so what I'm going to start doing here is I'm just going to put in, using my 12 round, I'm just going to start wetting those shapes with just some clean water. Just grabbing some more water. And depending on your paper, you know, your paper may soak up water, so you may have to go back to it. This is an inexpensive sketchbook, so it soaks up water quite quickly, so I would just go back to make sure that it's damp there. And I think, so this was that pink, so I'm going to grab some of this. I already spritzed down my watercolor paints. And I'm just going to tap in some color. So that was that pink one. This one too. You can add more water and just let that move around. So these two I had as red, so I'm going to grab the different color red and pop that in. Just going to add a little bit more water because it's starting to dry up. A little bit more water here. Grab some more of that red and again, just plop it on in there. And go back to that other color. So this is that wet and wet technique. Okay. And just rinsing off my brush and going back to this orange one, back to these two oranges and just adding a little bit more water. And now I'm going to go get some of my orange paint and just do the same thing, just tap it on in. And just let the water and the color mix around. Okay. And maybe what I'll do is I can add some more color. So let me take a look here and see. So maybe I might want to add in maybe a little bit of yellow into this orange one. Just mixing up some of those colors there. Start to give it a little bit of a tulip shape. Sometimes where the petals are, they have that fringed type of petal. And maybe with here, with the reds, maybe I might add a little bit of purple. Let's see. Just a tad bit maybe around here. There's still plenty of water on there. Grab a little bit more maybe blue and purple and see. Oh, that's pretty. There's so many different varieties of flowers. In a few weeks at our community center, our area Iris Society is going to come and talk about irises and I think have some for sale. So I definitely want to go ahead and join them and take a look at what they're doing. I don't have any, I do have some irises in my backyard, but I may want to get more, and I've had those for years. So again, just shaping the tulip. Maybe I'm going to add a little tiny touch of blue to these pink ones. Sort of gives it like a shadowy effect. Can always go back in and add some more red. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and let that dry before I start with the stems and the leaves. Let me just shape that a little bit better. Okay. Okay, now I am going to use my smaller round brush. Just getting some clean water in there and going in with some of the light green. Just to add the stems And if it mixes with the tulip, that's fine. I think it actually gives it a nice effect if it does that. Just getting a little bit more water, painting in that leaf. I'll add some darker green to give it some contrast in a moment, but just adding in these leaf shapes and stems. And again, if it touches and the color bleeds into each other, that's fine with me. Again, I like that effect if you can see it here. If you don't want to, then just leave a little bit of space. I'm actually going to touch it and just have it bleed in there. And this is wet on dry, so I did not wet the stem of the leaf. Excuse me, the stem or the leaves of the tulip. I'm just using the paint on the dry paper. I think I'm actually going to purposely touch because I do like that effect. Okay. Just rinsing off my brush. Okay, now I'm going to head back to the tulips and I'm just going to add, again, some darker colors. So if I start, and I'm just using my smaller round brush here, but you can use any brush that you want. And maybe I'll go in with a darker orange. And I'm starting here towards the bottom and then just following the shape of the petal, just to give it a little bit more contrast there. Just like that. Now for this bottom one, so this is still, the tulip is actually still damp. So this is sort of a wet on damp. I'll grab a little bit of a darker orange. Let's try this one. Do that. Might add a little bit more yellow to this one. Okay, so I think I'm done with that. And now for, let's see, back to this red one here. Just gonna add a little bit more of that red. Again, I'm starting at the bottom and then just following the shape of the petal. This kind of reminds me of this, that's that center, so I think I'm going to make this as the shape of the petal that's closest to us. Maybe just a little dab more of the darker color here. You know, whatever you feel looks best to you, go ahead. There's no right or wrong. And then with this flower, a little bit more of the deeper red. Kind of the same thing, just following the shape of the petal and of the flower, leaving the center lighter because to me it looks like that's the way it's opening. So that's what I'm going to do. And let's see, maybe with this one, let's see what color that is. Okay, this is like a deep blue purplish, so that's what I'm going to use for this one. Move it on up. Just like that. And for this one, maybe again that purple, a little bit more water. And just like that. And I could always go in and add a little bit more of that red. And let's see, I may add a little bit more of the dark orange here, just to give it a little bit more contrast. That. Because as watercolor dries, it gets lighter. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and now move on to the leaves and use a little bit of that darker green. Let's see. And just to give it again, just some contrast here as well. A little bit more water. There too. And even though I touched that tulip, the orange is going to bleed into that green. And again, that's fine with me. Actually, again, like that. This is a different color. Green has a little bit more blue to it. Adding just a little bit more water. Okay. And I know sometimes folks like to do splatters, and I think I might try that. I'm going to, let's see, cover my other drawing that I did yesterday so the splatter doesn't go on there. So I'm going to use my rag to cover that. And I think I might just use a mixture of the colors that I have in here. So I'm going to put some plenty of water on my brush and just lightly tap like that. So that's with the orange. I might use some of the red. Again, just a little bit of tapping here and there. Maybe even a little bit of that green. And as you can see, when it touches the wet areas, they kind of give that little bit of explosion. So that's actually kind of cool. And let's see, maybe even some yellow. Again, I'm not a spatter type of person, but I thought this might be fun to try. So I'm just going to go ahead and let this dry now. Okay, so I'm going to let this continue to dry, but I do like the way it turned out. I am going to leave it like this. I'm not going to put any ink or any other colors, just simply like this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you give it a try. I hope you like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, please let me know. Again, this is my Daily Art Challenge, day number 12, tulips. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day.